G'day YouTubers, and welcome to this review of the Wallabot. So a big thanks to Malcolm for putting this in my hands. The Wallabot is quite an interesting device. It is a 3D imaging device using RF technology to kind of 3D image or radar the environment. So it's kind of a more advanced sensor to try and image or understand the environment or look at what's happening in the environment. Now to do that, it uses an array of antennas. There are 3 models of this. The lower model has 3 antennas, the next model up has 15 antennas, and then this top Pro model has 18 antennas. Now I know the antennas are supposed to be paired, so I'm not sure what happens with the ones with the odd number of antennas. But certainly in the Pro model, the antennas are paired, one transmits and one receives, and from the reflections, it kind of builds up an image of the environment. It uses a broad spectrum. They've got a custom chip in here which sends out a broad spectrum RF frequency and then receives the image back, and then that is sent off to an application. So this is something for tinkerers and makers. It's a platform and a development kit. They've got a basic application which I'm going to demonstrate to you both on the PC and the phone. They had to specifically send me a phone because this wasn't compatible with my phone. Even though my phone is a fairly recent phone with on the go, it still didn't work with this. So anyway, I've got this lone phone to be able to demonstrate that to you. The frequency range, now it differs between the US and the EU. In the US, this does have FCC approval. I've gone and checked myself. The frequency range is from 3.3 gigahertz to 10.3 gigahertz. That's a big part of the spectrum. In the EU, that's limited to 6.3 gigahertz to 8.3 gigahertz. So first off, I just want to say I've had some interesting responses to this. For one, when I was approached and I saw this, I thought, interesting device. I wonder if it can do what they claim. There's someone who I personally know and I deal with. When I told him I was going to be reviewing this, he said, nah, no ways, that doesn't do what they say it's going to do. And then I had another maker come to my home for another reason. He saw this and he saw it in operation and he said, I want one. So let me just try and unmuddy the waters there a bit. The one thing I think perhaps the creators of this Wallabot haven't done too well is in some of their promotional videos, you'll see some high definition pictures of this being able to see through things. See pipes in walls, be a radar or speed detector on a car, be able to tell you what type of substance is. They even have a picture of like a high definition image or x-ray through an enclosure or a baggage, like almost at an airport, which this isn't going to do. They've got it looking at a glass of beer being filled up and telling you the alcohol level, which again, I'm not sure how on earth it's going to be able to do that. So I think those little kind of over elaborations kind of cast a bit of doubt. Can it do some interesting things? Yes, it can, and I'm going to demonstrate that to you, but I'm also going to perhaps show you what it can and can't do, and then you can make up your own mind. We'll quickly go to the bench and have a look what it comes with. Okay, so what does the Wallabot come with and how much does it cost? Well, it comes in this kind of neat little case. I'm not sure what the other kits come as, but this is the case that the Pro arrived with. It comes with this little getting started manual. It comes with an on-the-go OTG connector to connect it to a phone. It comes with a USB 3 cable to connect it to a PC. It also comes with this little disc, which that can be actually applied to or stuck to a phone because there's a powerful magnet in here, and this will stick to that so that your phone is stuck to the back of this. Even with the magnet in here, it's kind of sticking to the phone, but the idea is that you can kind of stick the phone on there, then you've got a mobile device which you can use for scanning or looking into things. It literally is a plain and simple case. The antenna's on this side, so you'd kind of use it like this to kind of scan through or look at things. It's got just a couple of connectors. Now the Pro and the Maker have 2 connectors. The one USB connector is literally just for providing power, and this USB 3 connector is the one that you can connect to your PC, or the OTG connector or on-the-go connector goes in there to your phone. This Pro version with the 18 antennas or 9 pairs goes for $599. The maker version of this with 15 antennas goes for $299, and then the starter kit goes for $149, and that's the one with 3 antennas. And they've got a table on their site, which I'll flip up here, which shows the capability of each of the units. So some of them have got more, I think, 3D capability and better scanning than obviously the starter kits. But let's just quickly open it up and have a quick look at the board. To get inside, it's literally just 4 screws that come out the corners, and then the case clips open. This is the main business end with the electronics on the board. So these are the main electronics. The name of the company that produces it is Veyar, as I remember it. It's an Israeli company. And this is their custom chip. It's the Veyar VYYR2401A3. And this chip is apparently the device which actually generates the signal, which is the 3.3 gigahertz to 10.3 gigahertz. So that generates and transmits a signal and then also receives it. So it's quite a broad band, a big part of the spectrum which it sends out and then receives. The other chips are to do with the connectivity to the host and pulling the data in from that, and then obviously sending it out to your PC or phone to the application. The jumper over here, I think if I recall, dictates where it's getting its power from, whether it's this USB input over here or this one here. You can see the fine stitched through lines which are going through to the 18 antennas. So these are all the antennas, and we'll just pick up the board and see what they look like on the other side. So this is the other side of the board with some electronics on the other side, and then the big important side of it is all these pairs of antennas. So we've got, I say pairs of antennas, these are the 18 antennas, which according to the application from what I have read are paired together. So I say I'm not too sure how they work with the other units which have got an odd number of antennas, whether they're just pairing 2 and using one for something else. But supposedly here these antennas are paired together to transmit. One of the antennas will transmit a signal and then the other one is used for receiving. But let's put it back together and try and demonstrate what its capability is. So in this demonstration, we're going to test just an empty piece of kind of PVC pipe, either conduit or what could be water pipe. Then also a piece of 2x4, which will be acting as a piece of stud work. So we're going to put that, we're going to check how it works in free space, and then also through my desk. And it has to be my desk because the application, the cable for me to swing that around and look at the application on the PC is a problem. So I'm using my desk. What I've gone and done, underneath my desk, I've gone and placed a piece of electrical wire. I've gone and traced out on top of my desk where that runs. So if I go underneath, that is the piece of electrical wire. And it's not completely flat against the desk. You'll see it does take a dip down, so we're just intrigued to see whether it can pick that up, and over there. Okay, so on your PC, you've got this Wallabot demo application at the moment, 1.02. They're still refining and obviously playing around with this. This is supposed to be a little high-level demo of what can be done, but ultimately, you can gain access to the APIs and write your own programs to pull in the signals from the device and use it for, well, whatever your imagination comes up with. On this device, they've got what they call a target detection, sense breathing, which is quite an interesting one. I'm going to leave that till last. They've got imaging, short range, and then the raw signals. So in this target detection, you've got like a picture of what the RF signal is coming through. The red areas are kind of the stronger signal where it's going to lighter and light blue. That's a weaker signal, so that might give an idea of depth. It's then also got this little radar on the side, which is supposed to give you an idea of depth as well. There is a calibration process, and you can vary various settings, but let me just give you a basic demonstration. So if I put my hand over it and start moving it around, this is the side with the antennas, you can see we get some funny imaging going on. Now every time you put it on a new service or environment, what you're supposed to do is do a calibration, so it kind of cleans up and understands what's there and what's not. So here we go, bang, now it's all clean. Now if I bring my finger nearby, you can see how it's detecting it. I'm going to raise it up quite high, and you can see up here I'm about 30 centimeters away. And if you look at the radar image there, you can see how that jumps around. And here again, I'm going to say, when you start playing with radio waves, it's like black magic. So they don't always do what you want to do, but it certainly is able to see and detect from quite a distance. What I might try and do is try and do a proper demonstration to see how far it will actually detect, because that's something I've not played around yet. I played around with it probably within, I'd say, half a meter to a meter's range, so about 4 feet. So that's it, looking and sensing things. Now you can do a couple of things. If I just keep my hand here static, you'll see it retains the image. And if I move around, it tracks it. You can set this for multiple targets. I'll give that a bash just quickly. So I'm going to set it for 2. I'm going to apply and calibrate. And then I'm going to bring in 1 finger and then a second. And now you can see on the radar on the right hand side, it's got 2 targets. But it can sometimes be a bit hit and miss to see when it's picking up something kind of correctly or not. And that's going to come out in some of the later demonstrations as well. Then the other thing, if I go back to 1 target, apply, you've got a setting which is a moving target indicator. So what it'll do when you enable that, it'll slowly remove any static images. So I'll click apply and calibrate. So it cleans up. Then if something's moving around with that MTI enabled, it picks it up. But if it goes still, it'll slowly phase it out. Because I've got a little bit of movement in my hand, it keeps coming back. But you can see it slowly, there we go, it phases it out. And then when it moves, it starts picking things up again. So it certainly is doing a little more than a normal sensor would do. It's certainly tracking and trying to map out the space and distance. But let's see how well it picks up through materials. For this next demonstration, we're going to click to the imaging short range. Now I can see again it's doing a little calibration. I've got it flat on the surface over here, and I've of course got this map where I've got the electrical wiring. Now what this does is it's obviously using the radio signals just to draw a straight, sharp line. So as I move this, there we go, you can see it's picking up an image, and then it's got that straight line, and it kind of gives you a depth. It's saying about 3 centimeters, which if I look at it, yes, it probably is about 3 centimeters, and it gives you a confidence level. If I turn it around, there you can see it disappear, and I can move it in. And this is what I found. It can be a little hit and miss sometimes as to whether it's detecting that. Now that line, of course, indicates where that wire is. Now as I go over it slowly, there you go, it's picked up that wire through my desk. I can turn it around. Now if I start going forwards, what happens when I start missing the target? It shows it's going off at a skew. So if I turn to match that, you can see it's not totally lined up at the moment, but I'll just humor it. You see, as I start going straight. Now if I was trying to track exactly what was in the screen over here, I might not be tracking that so-called wire exactly where it is. Because in theory, I've got it lying straight. Here we go, so it's come right. If you move round sometimes, it does come right. So I'm going to go straight. What happens when I go off that curve? Things disappear. When I come back, and you saw, there we go, it blips in the screen. I'll bring it to the center. So as you can see, in terms of it doing some high definition scan through a wall and give you a nice little image, no, this application, certainly in the demonstration, as you can see, it doesn't do that. It's certainly using that RF radar, if you will, to pick up and detect the differences or a substance under there, and then it's drawing a straight line to where it thinks it's finding something. So we'll just come back. I'll come back to where the wire is relatively straight. We can see it there. I'm going to go off target. There we go. We move out. I'm going to come back. So it certainly has got some interesting capability, but as I said, sometimes it can be a bit hit and miss. And this will come out a little later, but there you go. So that's it, tracking the wire. I'll just do one more check. Here we go. If I'm on top of the wire and I twist this around, there it's picking up the wire. I'm going to move off. I'll go a bit slower to give it a little chance to scan it, and it picks up. Sometimes it gets it and sometimes it doesn't, and I think that's just a function of the RF and what the radio waves are doing, because you can't always magically control radio waves to do what you want them to do. Okay, so next let's look at pipes and things like studs. Now with the orientation changed, I'm remove the piping across underneath, and there we go. Now I can quite clearly see how it's picking up this PVC pipe as I gently move it across. I'm now going to pull it in at an angle. So here we go. I'm going in at an angle. I'll just pull the pipe across. And you can see again how sometimes it manages to pick it up. There we go, it's just in the corner, but I go across and then it doesn't quite, there we go, and then it picks it up and then it doesn't. So I'll just do another check over here as if I'm scanning for it. And there it picks it up. I'm going to change the orientation. And you can see in that orientation it's having a problem picking it up. Whereas if I go landscape with it, the antenna is obviously having a better job of actually picking up that pipe. But it does pick it up. I'm just going to lower it. So I've got it literally 5. If you go, I think more than 10 is the limit. Then it disappears. But probably at about 10 centimeters, it is actually picking up that pipe. Next we'll see how it copes with, let's say, a piece of 2x4 if this was stud work. So I've gone and recalibrated. I'll put this underneath. I'm going to slide it across. There you go. You can see as I go across, it certainly is detecting it. I'm going to do it slowly, move it across. So it's a bit touch and go when it gets it. I'm going to try and swivel this around and see how it works scanning the other way. You can see it's getting its wires a little bit crossed in terms of the exact direction. But what I'm going to do, it's got this application on the phone. I'm going to go to a proper wall, dry wall with studs in it, and we will try this again. But certainly here you can see with a piece of wood, it's able to see that there's the object underneath and it's got that representation on the screen. Before we switch over and I show you the raw signal test, I've got it on the front of my PC over here, still with that short range imaging. I'm just going to use my finger. So as I use my finger, there we go, as I change the orientation, it's picking it up. Switch it round, switch it back. So it certainly is doing an interesting job of picking things up in the environment. The application is obviously doing its best to try and map out that straight line with the radio waves that it's getting back. Now the other application is a simple demonstration of the raw signals. Down on the left hand side here you can see it says antenna pairs. You can select certain antenna pairs that you want to see a signal for, and then up on the screen you can see the signal strength. Now I've got my hand in front of it and you can see how it's picking up and changing that signal as I wave down below. I'm just waving my hand in front of it. I'll pick up a couple of other antenna pairs. And as I do that, it'll show you the kind of signals which are coming across. But the last little demonstration on the PC application here is the breathing sensor. So at the moment we'll see if this works. I've got that sensor sat down over there in front of my PC pointing at me. Now I'm sitting behind the camera, so we'll see if this works. If it doesn't, I'll move it. And we'll go to the sensor breathing. Now what I need to do here, now bearing in mind I'm about half a meter away, I'm going to hold my breath so we get a clean signal coming through. Okay. So as I'm breathing out, you get this little double bump. So as I'm speaking, that's of course picking that up as well. It's not the audio, it's my chest moving. If I take a big breath, but I mean, there is very little movement in my chest. And it's amazing to see how easily it picks that up. So that's me talking. I'm kind of not moving my chest. I'm not moving my chest. I'm going to start breathing gently and normally. I'll take a big breath now. And that is literally half a meter away and pointing at me with the camera sitting in the way, and it is able to do that. So it certainly has got a very fine granular level of detecting movement and change, and supposedly velocity as well. So that is all the applications on the PC. Let's see how it does with the phone application. So here we go. I've now gone and connected the WallerBot to the phone. I've got it on the back here. There's a little bit of a magnetic field. I'm not using that disc. And I've got it on the desk. And what I'm going to do, every time you put it on a new surface or what have you, you do the calibrate. So I'm pushing the calibrate. I go start, and then you've got to move it around. It says the calibration is done. And now I'm just going to put my hand underneath, and bang, there you can see it's actually picking up my hand again with this like pipe application. And you can set it for drywall or concrete. So what I'm going to do, I've got this PVC pipe. I'm going to stick this under the desk. There we go. So I've got that there. And as I move it, I'll do it slowly. You can see it picks it up, it tracks it. I'm going to come in at an angle. So that's at an angle. I'm going to twist it a bit. You can see it's going a little awry. I'm going to pull it flush to the table. Move it around. And within reason, it tracks it. Let's do the other test. If I have the pipe sat there and I actually move the phone, so I come across, there we go. It's seeing the PVC pipe underneath. Come back. If I twist the phone, it tracks it. What happens if I pull the pipe half out? No. The application assumes it's a continuous piece. You're not going to see the end wall. It disappears. So when I get this kind of going past the sensor, it then disappears. But certainly, it's not doing a bad job here under these circumstances of this application picking up that pipe. I'm just going to lower it. It's got a little gauge on the side. There's a little measurement on the side, and it's saying how many inches. So I'm going to take it further down, and that measurement tends to bobble around. I take it further. There we go. So at about, I'd say, well, probably 6 inches away, it's not seeing it. I bring it up. It starts picking it up. So I don't have to have it directly underneath touching the desk. I'm moving it around, and there we go. You can see it. Let's try the piece of wood. Here's the piece of wood, which could be a stud in the wall. Hold it at an angle. I'll pull it across the sensor. There we go. And it's picking that up. You can see it sometimes blips in and out. Let's see if we do a kind of scan across the area. There we go. But you can see how it sometimes gets it and then sometimes things disappear. And I'm going to go to a real wall in a moment and we'll see how well it does there. Let's just see how it does with electrical wiring. I've just picked it up, moved it over here. I did another calibration to make sure that it's aware of the environment. You can calibrate it over something. It doesn't matter if something's underneath it or not. So I'm going to move this. And you can see the measurement is coming up there. Ah, there we go. And it's actually, that angle is about right. Yeah, it's kind of showing that it's turning. There, it's lost it. Let's go along and see if it come back carefully. Move it gently. But you can see how it tends to swing around. So if you're trying to use this in the real world, practically trying to trace something, it could get rather tricky. Let me bring it back to where this wiring is straight. I'm going to twist it. Disappeared. Does it pick it up? And there we go. And it's gone and picked it up. So it's not doing too badly here, but just before we end off, let me just take this to a real wall with studs in it and see how well it works there. So now I'm on a piece of real drywall. I've got it set up for drywall and pipes. I'm going to calibrate it. My wife's going to love me because I'm marking the wall. So I know there are several studs in this wall. I can see them with a thermal camera, in fact. So I'm going to move this across. I see there we go, there's something coming into view up there, but it's at an odd angle. Something happening there, odd angle. Something over there. So I know that, I can tell you now, those are the studs. But you can see it's not properly translating and getting the graphic right. And I've tried this in several places, also around electrical outlets in the wall or electrical plugs, and the same thing. It can be very hit and miss whether it sees it or not. So there you go, that is the Wallerbot. A big thanks to Malcolm for sending this to me and also for putting another phone in my hands to demonstrate the application. It's an interesting device. I would say it's going to take people to write their own applications, tinker and come up with their own ideas to kind of exploit and find interesting uses for this. It's off the top of my head, it's very difficult to kind of come up and say, oh, here we go, I know this is the exact application. Maybe I've seen them put it on a little like robotic car. I've literally just gone and danced around the room. I didn't show it on camera because it would look a bit pathetic. I've danced around and checked. I've seen this range go out to about 4 meters, and on their application it says 500 centimeters, so it's not far off. I'm not sure whether it can do any further than that with kind of modifications to it or to the application. It does certainly sense things. It's got an awareness of the environment, but as I said, RF is like black magic. If you're trying to create an image and see what's going on, radio waves can tend to do what they want. It's certainly, as far as I can tell, unless someone comes up with some amazing application which interprets the signals back from this, it's certainly not going to give you some high definition image of something behind a wall, or I can't see how it's going to look at a substance like a glass of beer and say that's beer and this is the alcoholic content. So I think some of that imagery that they've done in their promotional videos is a little bit misleading and has certainly got people off on the wrong foot. It certainly potentially has a very interesting application as an advanced sensor. And I say, I'll be keen to see what you guys think of it. I'm going to actually put this one in the hands of the good gent at the meetup who said he would love to play with this. I'm going to see if he comes up with some interesting application. If he does, I'll make another video and show what he's done with it. But anyway, thanks very much for watching this video. If you gain any value, please give it a thumbs up and I'll catch you soon for the next one. Cheers.